I need someone to live with me. Lesbians are good homemakers. They love to do all the work around the house. I lived with a woman in Hollywood who acted in movies. She was better than a man in the house. People think I'm a lesbian too. Of course I am. A little. Everyone is. What? 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 So today we read Breakfast at Tiffany's, and in case you were wondering, this book was written in 1958, so that line is so mind-blowing. And it shouldn't be, right? We think, oh, it's 2021, love who you want to love. By the way, that line was in the book. That's crazy. That's crazy. When people think Breakfast at Tiffany's, they think hopeless woman who's a wanderer, you know, falls in love with some guy, makes some bad choices throughout the way, but ultimately ends up with the hot blonde guy at the end of the movie. That was not the book. I'm gonna be honest with you. I do not like rom-coms. I do not like romantic movies. I think they're foolish. Between you and me. Keep it to ourselves. If you're like, no, read this book, I'll listen to you. I probably will. But I probably won't like it. Don't like that style of movie. I don't like any of that. You can put, in fact, put any movie down there. Put any movie you want that's romantic in the comments, and I will argue with you. I'll do it. Do it. I'll argue with you on why I don't like it. Yeah, I just don't like it. There are a few exceptions, of course. Breakfast at Tiffany's was always one of them. Yeah, it was great. It was great for me to watch it. I think the first time I seen it was in high school. And if you haven't seen it, see it. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Would not have read the book if it weren't for this channel. And like I said, the book was great. The book did not end where she falls in love with him and it'll happily ever after. In fact, she was still on her self-discovery journey of trying to find her place where she felt like home. And I have to say that that's so great. That's so great. That's mostly my problem with a lot of romantic type movies. I just was like in shock. And I have to talk about this more because I can't not. Or at least when I think queer culture, you don't think about it in the 50s. You know, for me to have read that, I was like, I was blown away by it. I was for sure blown away by it. I could not believe I read that. I was like, when the hell was this book made? 1958? Wow. Wow. Could not believe that that was written then. That's the whole thing where it's like, oh, it's a different time, it's a different place. This was written in a book that became a very popular movie. So even when the movie was made, that still wasn't super popular. It still wasn't a super popular sentence to my knowledge. And maybe it was. Maybe people did say, you should love who you love. But again, caution, you know, racist, R-word, not really nice in terms of lesbians anyway, but yeah, like she's still being derogatory towards it, but it's still really cool to have read that. I think that ending's great. I think that's why I don't like romantic movies, because I don't like a forced ending. You know? Especially if, you know, he cheats or she cheats and they, well, you know, let's be real, she doesn't cheat, right? He cheats. If she cheats, she cheats in the beginning, he finds someone else, he falls in love with her, and then he gets a big F you moment at the end of the movie and he ends up with this other woman. You know I know. You know I know. You know I know. You know I know. Anyway. This is super weird because we just reviewed Fight Club, and in Breakfast at Tiffany's, the main character's name is the Narrator. We have no idea what his real name is. We know that she refers to him as Fred, and then when her brother dies, she stops calling him Fred. mindful. The entire time I'm reading this book, I'm thinking his name is Paul, because in the movie his name is Paul Barjack. Let me know if you've read this book, because I effing loved it. I first found out that it was a book when I was in my early 20s, when I was working in Center City in Philadelphia, and I had a colleague that read every single day on the train, and I was like, you're living the best life, this is how you're supposed to do it. And she read a lot, and I asked her if she ever watched Breakfast at Tiffany's, and she said I read the book. I love that about people. Have you watched this movie? I read the book. That's not what I asked, but congratulations. No, I'm just kidding. I actually appreciate that comment, because I'm like, there's a book. For the longest time, I wouldn't read a book if I watched the movie, because I felt like, no, I know the ending, but now that I just read Breakfast at Tiffany's, I think I might go back and actually read these books. That was not the vibe of the movie. That was not the theme of the movie. That's not how it ended. Like, it's just crazy how, like, you just change one thing. It's crazy how they just change one thing. They change the ending, and the entire theme, the overall feeling of the book just drastically changed from the movie. Because throughout the movie, like, you're rooting for them to get together, and because it's a romance, you're like, yes, I love that they're together, I'm so happy, yay! No, in the book, you're like, yeah, she's a free spirit. She said it. She said she doesn't belong. She's looking for home. She's looking for that feeling of home. And she was still looking. She left and went to Rio. She ended up in Africa. Like, she's just traveling. Now, mindful, she's still looking for, like, a rich man, but it's fine. I guess she'll figure it out. I don't know, she'll figure it out. The book ended. And the narrator didn't know where she was. No, but it's good. Breakfast at Tiffany's was really good. If you're gonna read it, read it. It ruined it for you, but I don't care. You weren't gonna read it. You weren't gonna read it. That's why you're here. We, like, wasted so much of our time reading, like, Great Expectations and foolishness in school when we had good books. Whatever. But I didn't like Great Expectations. You weren't going to trick me into reading that. Other books, yes, take that home, read it, but no, not if I don't like it. Ew. I think what I liked about Breakfast at Tiffany's, the book, was he didn't really pressure her to love him. Like, it kind of felt like it was like this cat-mouse thing in the movie, whereas in the book, he kind of, like, he stood back and observed. Or if it was cat-mouse, she was the cat and she wasn't playing with him. It was just, you know, she was playing with a lot of other mice. Or rats, if you will. It's a nod to the book and the movie. He's writing about her, he loves her, he wants her, but she does what she wants. She's doing what she wants to do. Yeah, she's definitely like this free spirit. We vibe. We vibe. We vibe. No, I'm 30. That's gross. Ew. And I know I gave romantic movies / books a really hard time in the beginning of this video. However, if you have a book that you just love, or a movie that, you know, you watch every year, watch every month, let me know, and I probably won't watch it or read it. I love the movie for what it is. Because if you ever try to be like, oh, I love this book, and then you watch the movie and you're like, oh, they ruined it, it could have been so much better. You can do that with every single movie that ever exists. Every single movie that is based on a book. You'll ruin it. The movie being what it is, I'm sure it still holds up. That's a movie I go back to every year, I watch every year. And you know, though, it's strange because I, like, expected them to end up together. And when they didn't end up together, I wasn't heartbroken about it. In fact, he didn't even know where she was. But his story wasn't sad. His story was he became a writer. He became published. He published 2 books since he had met her, and he was writing this one about her. It's a story about a man who was in love with a woman who was finding herself. I mean, there's a line in the movie that I love that didn't make it in the book. I'm not even gonna say. Go watch that video. I don't know where it is. Wherever it is. Wherever. Ooh, you made it. Ooh, you made it. We went all the way to the end of the story. If you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you. I am all about a book club, so if you read it, vibe, let me know. For what it was an excellent book. Would recommend. Thank you for reading. I don't have a catchy outro. If you have one, let me know. Nope, that's stupid. Don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm super great at this. Get closer to my face. I like it. It's still a Christmas tree. Boop. This is bizarre. Why are we talking about this other nonsense? Let us read. Don't worry about it. Where is my brain?